Good evening, folks. This is Deb and Dave, and this is your Factivist Report for the 1st of October, Sunday, the 1st of October. Tonight, we're here to tell you it's time to put down all the conspiracy theory fun you've been having. Forget the rabbit holes. We need to start looking at reality here. We are now, a year and a month out from the election? It's time to look at the reality of what's in store for us if Donald Trump is elected. We're going to talk about Agenda 47. And yes, that 47 does relate to the fact that he intends to be 47th president of the United States.
Right.
Yes, Dave.
So before I start talking about Agenda 47, I am going to tell you, we're going to talk about someone connected to Agenda 47 who has rabid followers. He is considered one of the OG of conspiracy theory theorists, and he has been convicted of crimes, and he has been considered a media darling because he called out the establishment at some point. If you said Donald Trump, you're right, but that's not who I'm talking about. I am talking about Lyndon LaRouche. Okay. He passed away in 2019, but he created a movement that, even though it's considered underground, is still going on. Okay. And they are fighting for Trump because they see an ally in Trump, and they see enough similarities between him and Lyndon LaRouche where they're fighting for him, and they're fighting for Agenda 47. So let's get into it. And before I get into Lyndon LaRouche, I'm going to show you the Agenda 47 website. I think I showed it to you at the end of the show last week, but I'm just going to show you what we're looking at. So, oops. Hold on. Got to get to share screen. There we go. There he is. Agenda 47. Now, Agenda 47, he unveiled this in May, and it basically is his campaign policy. All right.
And his agenda once he's elected.
Right.
Can you just go down to the bottom for a second so I can read that charming opening?
Oh, absolutely. And we will get to it at the end, by the way, guys. We talk about it all the time. What's a red flag in any of these kinds of websites? Right in the right-hand corner, we have a shop. And we'll be looking at that later.
Agenda 47. Ending the nightmare of the homeless, drug addicts, and dangerously deranged on American streets. He's a fucking sweetheart, isn't he? Yeah.
We're talking that I believe that's the militarization of the police and that kind of thing, strengthening the war on crime, the war on drugs, blah, blah,
blah. What did he mean to say mentally ill instead of dangerously deranged? I mean, if we were showing compassion, what he's saying here is we're going to end the nightmare of all these people so that the rich white people won't have to look at it. That's what he's really saying there. Okay. Right. He's not doing this to help these people. Let me make this fucking clear. Okay.
Right. You guys can look at this. I'm gonna give a couple of tidbits of some of the things that he's planning to do. By the way, one of the first is to pardon everybody involved in the J6 riots. Just so you know, that's
Just so you know, then you will have retribution like you've never seen before because they will be unleashed and they will not be controlled because he will not control them.
right.
He did not control them the first time around.
Right. That's one of the first things. I'll get into a few of the others, but so I mentioned Lyndon LaRouche. Now, just so you know, this is what gave me the idea to 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 follow the rabbit hole on Lyndon LaRouche and see how serious this is. It's very serious. So I'm sorry, I think I said in May he made the speech. Apparently it was June. So he oh God have mercy. So here we go. Donald Trump's
Hey,
Agenda 47.
they keep referring to making this the party that Lincoln envisioned. This party is not the party that
No,
Lincoln.
it's not.
All right, that's another bit of misinformation they want you to buy into. Maybe you want to go back and look at American history. Find a reliable book because they're not going to teach you the actual facts about history anymore.
So Lyndon LaRouche was one of, as I said, one of the OG or considered the OG conspiracy theorist. One of the big things that he talks about is the fight against the deep state. But at the same time, he talked about Star Wars, and he backed up government control of lasers in space with Ronald Reagan. So
Because
I don't know, figure that out.
the way the Republican Party really works is they'll take whatever position they have to take as long as it's politically expedient for them.
Right.
That's really the way they work.
And by the way, originally Lyndon LaRouche was a Marxist. He was a conscientious a war protester. Didn't go to Vietnam War, but then over time he became a right wing fascist, proto fascist. So I'm just going to read a little of this so you know where we're going. Donald Trump's Agenda 47, a declaration of independence from the global empire. This is where we're going. On June 25th, Donald Trump delivered the best speech yet in his campaign to become the 47th president of the United States. Delivered in Novi, Michigan, Donald Trump addressed the existential task of winning the 2024 election. You win it so big that they can't cheat and they can't create that many fake ballots.
And he's still lying.
This is where we're going. One of the things I wanted to mention just real quick. Hold on. Baby bonuses to encourage family formation and elimination of the assaults on families and children. Isn't that called a tax credit?
Yeah, well, we had that. They got rid of that, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they might have. And they also got rid of protections of women with ectopic pregnancies or,
yeah,
girls who have been raped or a victim of incest. Yeah. But don't worry, we'll celebrate the children and not protect them.
Yeah.
Okay. So here is the LaRouche Pac.
By the way, old Lyndon was, I believe, a resident of New Hampshire, wasn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, it's one of those states. And
yeah,
I wish I could just excise it right out and let it float, but I think it's inland.
So, again, I thought that this was perfect because this is their mission statement, is a quote from Lyndon LaRouche. All we Americans have immediately at hand is the sleeping nationalist heritage embedded in our bones over more than 20 generations. the heritage of 18th century, the 18th century worldwide American Revolution, and and of the proximate predecessor, the Golden Renaissance. Now, I understand that's word salad, but that's not the important thing to me. Read what's underneath. Lyndon LaRouche, July 4th, 1989, from federal prison. Okay. Uh,
Yeah.
okay. I don't. Ooh, oh, goody.
What?
So, hold on. I was just gonna. Hold on. I was just gonna. It was a duplicate. It was a duplicate source, and it exploded. There we go. So let's go back here. As Deb said, conspiracy theories. Deb and I have looked into them. We've gone down rabbit holes. There,
Many.
many. Sometimes they're even fun to look into. Right now, this is not the time, and they are dangerous. All right. So this is an article from the New Republic. So this is from February of this year by Tommy Craggs. Lyndon LaRouche was the godfather of political paranoia. His cult is still alive and unwell. Years after their leader's death, LaRouche's. See, and we have to stop doing that. We have to stop giving these guys cute names
They're not
because
cute.
it's not cute. Trumpies, Trumpers, all that stuff, MAGAs, all that. Stop, because they're dangerous. We need to cut this out. Are still pushing their fascist politics. All right, and I'm not going to. Again, you guys can read, but the whole point of the LaRouche movement is to erode people's trust in the government. I am not saying that everything the government does is right and true and helps us. I'm not going to do that. It's obvious. We know better. We also know that in cases that it's self-serving and all that. But to erode all of the protections by eroding people's trust in the government has gotten us here. Hold on one second. Oh! This article mentions someone who ran against Chuck Schumer. She only got a few votes, but the point wasn't. She was a message candidate. Remember that whole thing about having message candidates?
Mm-hmm.
The message is don't trust the government, don't trust Chucky Schumer, all of that. Diane Sayre. And guess who interviewed her? Someone who people consider from the left, Jimmy Dore. Okay.
I don't consider Jimmy Dore from the left anymore.
Some people
Yeah.
maybe still do. I don't know.
He hasn't been for a long time.
He's gone down the anti-vax rabbit hole and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But same thing with Bill Maher and all that. But I know that this is part of it.
The
One of the
right side of the coin, is very attractive to white men. So
right.
That's why they gravitate over there.
Right. Well, part of LaRouche's appeal was that he knew the Marxist playbook. He was originally considered a Marxist, but then moved to the right and became a right winger, and throughout the 80s and defended different things and all that, while at the same time you pepper in a couple of things here and there, defending Glass-Steagall and all that kind of thing. So he's kind of all over the place,
Yeah,
but
whatever works for him.
whatever works for him. So here's another one. So this is by, this is a Politico one. Jesse Walker from 2019. This is right after he passed away. So this is kind of a, an obituary kind of thing. Lyndon LaRouche was a serial presidential candidate and a convicted fraudster, which we will get to in a moment, who spent the early 1990s behind bars, and a one-time management consultant who became the head of a Marxist sect and then sort of a proto-fascist. He was best known for his Byzantine conspiracy theories, which he and his followers expressed in terms that sounded like an abstruse treatise crossed with a diss track. Bertrand Russell was a high priest of ISIS. George Soros was the Queen's favorite dope pusher. Walter Mondale was jointly owned by the left wing of the Socialist International and the Grain Cartel. Jimmy Carter had been compelled by a systematic behavior modification program into serving a small group of preeminent Wall Street financiers. Henry Kissinger was both an agent of British Foreign Service and the kind of homosexual personality who ordinarily makes a potential professional assassin.
Yeah.
Okay, this this is where we're going.
Claim that I was following him, but that's all right if they want to.
Right. Even LaRouche's own operation was purportedly infiltrated by brainwashed sleeper agents. Now, some of these guys were guys from the Vietnam War, that kind of thing, because he was anti-war. So, so go a little bit further, a couple more paragraphs actually. Over the years, his network's political concerns ranged widely. It denounced drugs, promoted nuclear power, claimed responsibility for the Strategic Defense Initiative, Star Wars, called for quarantining AIDS patients, and developed an obsession with the evils of improper musical tuning. But it never lost its cultish capacity to go hunting for the enemy within, hunting for the deep state. He's always been talking about that. The most interesting thing about LaRouche, who died in February of 2019, rather, sorry, might be the fact that he nonetheless found his way into the orbit of power. That's the far orbit of power. Mind you, there was never any risk that he would get a cabinet appointment or a job on Capitol Hill. But he is part of the information network.
Right.
That was LaRouche. Guys in power knew about him, spoke to him. That was his deal. This is an article from AP, and this was again right after LaRouche passed away. Lyndon LaRouche's conspiracy mindset lives on. It was spurred and sparked by the fact that someone who was a conspiracy theorist won the presidency of the United States in 2016, and that's Donald Trump. And this is where the connection between Lyndon LaRouche, someone who was never going to get a political office or a major, flowers or whatever you want to say, to now you have someone who is a conspiracy theorist and someone who can use this type of information. And he was in the White House. And so Lyndon LaRouche also had several connections to different groups, and now Trump has access to those groups: Tea Partiers, LaRouches, the Proud Boys, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the Tea Party, by the way, the Tea Party, I forget what it's called. The Tea Party, they're basically funding MAGA.
Right.
It's a foundation, Tea Party something foundation. I forget what it's called.
I just wanted to put this in. This is just a little blurb. Tea Party events have become a magnet for other groups and causes, including gun rights activists, anti-tax crusaders, libertarians, militia organizers, birthers, Lyndon LaRouche supporters, and proponents of the sovereign states movement. War veterans prayed for the dead in September at a Tea Party rally in Waco. My point: stop not organizing with other Democrats because of idealistic differences. The Republicans are organizing. This almost reminded me, I don't know if everybody watched the movie Warriors. You have all these little groups together. Separately, they're not that powerful. But when you get them all together, combined in a united cause, Trump, 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 they're dangerous.
Right now, we have one mission between now and November of 2024, and that is to mobilize the vote to not only make sure that Donald Trump does not become president of the United States again, but to eliminate as many of members of the GOP as we can possibly. Look at, you heard Jennifer Rubin say it in her editorial last week. There can be no survivors because they will just remain there and do it again. Okay? They will not give up. We need to vote out as many people in the GOP as possible. That should be the mission of every Democratic voter. It should be the same mission for Republican voters who remember the old days, not the MAGA Republicans, the old school Republicans. You should be voting Democrat to get rid of this festering sore on your party. It's got to go. I mean, this party has got to go.
Now,
you guys need to start over again.
And listen, guys, the guys in the Lincoln Project and all of that, I want this to be perfectly clear. We will help you get rid of Donald Trump, but we're not going to support the GOP. There is a deeper plan here, which I will be talking about next week, which is the Heritage Foundation and their 2025 plan to build a conservative resurgency, which includes the extremism of the current GOP, which cannot stand. So, all right. This is Lyndon LaRouche receiving his 15-year sentence. This was it's an archived New York Times article from January 28th, 1989. So here is what he did. And it is not a conspiracy, it is fact. Okay. Lyndon LaRouche Jr. was the political extremist who 3 times ran for president, sentenced today, which was that date back in 1989. Scheming to defraud the Internal Revenue Service and deliberately defaulting on more than $30 million in loans from his supporters. The sentence was handed down by Judge Albert V. Bryant of Federal District Court. Here's the point. This was not the Department of Justice weaponized against Lyndon LaRouche. And that's what his group, the LaRouche Pac, has been saying since 1989 when this sentence was brought down. Just so you know. I threw this in simply to show how the Lyndon LaRouche group organized and how they quote unquote gathered information. It was kind of the original Q, the original Marjorie Taylor Greene, and those kind of guys who just threw bullshit together to see what would stick. This is an article from Paul Krasner, who was a comedian who made a point back in the day um, about Ronald Reagan and George Bush being the former head of the CIA, and then this was before John Hinckley shot the president, and then after that happened, the Lyndon LaRouche people got together and did a dossier on Paul Krasner because of what he said about Reagan, the Reagan assassination. So this is what they said about Paul Krasner, who is a comedian. Okay, on April 2nd of whatever, the Los Angeles Herald Examiner quoted a dispatch from the New Solidarity International Press Service, an outfit run by followers of Lyndon LaRouche. A group of terrorists and drug traffickers linked to Playboy magazine, it said, met in Greenwich Village and publicly discussed an assassination of Ronald Reagan and Vice President Bush. The meeting, covered by the Yippie organization, featured former Playboy editor Paul Krasner, well, he was also the Playboy editor, and numerous individuals associated with High Times Magazine, Hustler Magazine, and the Chicago Sun-Times. And LaRouche also said that Paul Krasner was recruited by a stable of pornographers and social satirists created by and directed by the British intelligence's chief brainwashing facility, the Tavistock Institute, to destroy laws and institutions of morality and human decency. And for the record, Paul Krasner was never in England. I just threw this out there to show that bullshit artists have been around for a very long time. Okay. And people believe this crap.
Every day.
This is from the Wayback Machine. This was back in the day, the Lyndon LaRouche youth movement. So, yes, they had a youth movement.
Yeah, great.
A little Wikipedia on the youth movement and, like the Lyndon LaRouche Pac. This is the LaRouche Pac, okay? The future begins with Trump's Agenda 47. The reason they are focused on this is because Trump's Agenda 47, his mission coincides with Lyndon LaRouche. Okay. Which is the removal of protections put in by the United States government, attacking the United States government and the quote unquote deep state, and creating a new government, whatever the hell that might be. Okay. So let's see here. So we have, your typical stuff: membership, donate, ways to follow, live Monday strategic discussions, like little Skype, not Skype, but Zoom meetings. Live Saturday in-depth classes on Marxism and all that kind of crap. leaflets. And by the way, back in the day when Obama was around, um, they used to go out, protest, and paint Hitler mustaches on Obama and call for Obama's impeachment.
Yeah,
And
right out in front of
yeah,
Stoneham Post Office. Little fucking white table every weekend. They'd all be out there being their crackheaded selves. I
oh,
just,
in-depth classes. There we go. A
yeah,
listing. There we go. Hold on.
we'll brainwash you real good.
This is about George Washington rediscovering the soul of America. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, we sure are.
The principles and practices of national banking. And you know, Deb, at some point, I thought about this too. This whole thing about get rid of the Federal Reserve, get rid of this, get rid of that, get rid of the IRS, get rid of the all of the NEA, the Postal Service, get rid of everything.
Yeah,
We should probably at some point talk about some of that.
yeah, we should. We should.
LaRouche Pac Lincoln podcast series. Okay, let's see here. And here you go. Our campaigns. Number one, stop the prosecutions of Trump. Because, it's a weaponization of the DOJ.
It's amazing.
He's a victim, blah, blah, blah.
It's not the weapons. It's not the weaponization of the DOJ. It's paying fealty to a fucking dictator. It's really what it is.
Now, part of it, he did, or these guys do attack some of the Republican stuff.
Oh but wait. Let me. Can you scroll down?
Yeah. Oh, shit. Oops. Hold on.
Look, their criticism of the Republican stuff is because those Republicans, dumping on George W. Bush, well, they're nothing but fucking rhinos to them.
Right.
They weren't extreme enough.
Right.
They're not extreme enough. That's what they're dumping on.
And by the way, if you go deep enough into the LaRouche Pac website, they fully uh, attack Joe Biden out with the UAW, and they talk about his fight to demolish corporate America and manufacturing. And
he's trying to make sure fucking workers get their fair share.
Right.
That's been a problem all along here. And by the way, as far as they're attacking Ron DeSantis,
yeah,
that Ron DeSanctimonious, that's Donald Trump stuff.
That's Donald Trump stuff.
That's Donald Trump stuff. That's why they're attacking Ron DeSanctimonious, because he's running against their Lord and Master.
It is abolish the Federal Reserve. Okay.
Unbelievable.
Okay. They want to promote a commitment with building hundreds of nuclear power plants.
Yeah, I can't even.
Yeah. That's where they want to go.
Yep. Unbelievable.
I'm trying to find the news section. Let's see here. Blah blah blah. Yeah, let me see. Is it in here? there was because I want people to know LaRouche. If I can't find it, it's fine. But my point is that there was a person talking about Biden and slamming Biden for this, that, or the other thing. The woman has been part of this LaRouche organization since the early 1980s. Okay, that's my whole point with that. So if I can find it, fine. But there's a whole news section in here. So let's see. Here we go. There we go. Here we go. Go. Here we go. So this is under all posts, putting the Republic back into Republican. Thinking big is key to the new Mexican-American alliance, which I don't know how that's going to happen since one of Trump's big things in his Agenda 47
is to bomb Mexico.
Is building that magnificent wall.
Right. And by the way, Ron DeSantis is not going to roll out using bombs on Mexico.
Right. While Joe Biden just called very dangerous ultra-MAGA.
Yeah, and that's what it is. Very dangerous.
Donald Trump calls for ultimate strike against his globalist class. This is what I was talking about. Biden returns to the scene of the original crime while committing a new one. They're talking about the UAW strike, and the Green New Deal is a crime. And Susan Kokinda, she has been part of this whole thing for 40 years. So, just wanted to put that out there.
So you understand this. All this anti-union stuff here, that means they're not for the workers. You got that?
Correct.
You got that down? You everybody got that down?
And they're not for organizing.
Yeah.
By the way, going back to history, FDR, for all his faults, he was pro-union.
He was.
He wanted the people to organize.
But even FDR, he would not get on a line like Joe Biden did.
No, he wouldn't. So now let's go to, actually, before I do this, where is it? Hold on. There we go. Let's go to this next, because I want people to understand this. Why is the GOP suddenly defending Bob Menendez? Because it's part of the whole
Biden deep state bullshit.
Yeah, it's part of the whole keeping people in the whole conspiracy theory mind.
Right.
Bob Menendez, according to the GOP, is just a victim of the deep state and the Department of Justice, despite taking bribes from the Egyptian government and getting caught red-handed.
And finding gold bullion in his house. And the $48,000 in cash they found was just in case there was an emergency.
Right.
I wish I had that kind of money in my fucking house in case of an emergency.
Right. I mean, the GOP has this guy dead to rights. Said, well, you talk about us being corrupt all the time. What about this guy? No, they're not going that route. They're going.
No, they're going this route because this serves their purpose.
Right. So let's talk about Agenda 47.
Joe Biden in the deep state because that's who's running for office.
Right.
So
let's talk about Agenda 47 for a second. And again, this is.
We should be talking about this for a long time.
Yeah. Well, for now and for now and forever. So this is by Chauncey DeVega, July of this year. This is Salon, which has done a lot of good work lately. So Donald Trump is now describing himself as some type of new avatar for the spirit of 76, founding father for the 21st century, defender of liberty and freedom against tyranny. To that point, in fundraising emails and other communications, Trump is proclaiming that he is waging a great battle against the, guess what, deep state, and Joe Biden, the Democrats, and their corrupt administration. This is a continuation of LaRouche. Okay, I'm not going to go through the speech. You can read it because it's gobbledygook. So, by the way, Tucker Carlson interviewed Donald Trump separate from the debate. He's above the debate because he's so ahead in the polls. He is ahead in the polls, but the fact that they're elevating this man.
He would fucking not be ahead in the polls if he debated. He can't debate for shit. So
he is quote unquote elevating himself to king status. He doesn't need to debate these people. They're all trash, but
right. Just like statement that you don't have to worry about his age because he has superior genetics.
What? I didn't know this part. Trump literally wraps himself in the American flag. For all intents and purposes, he's also carrying a big white. Oh, I thought he actually was doing this. No. A big white Christian cross in his role as MAGA Jesus martyr.
He is doing that, though.
He is doing that. So, all right, here we go. Here's some of it. This is part of Agenda 47, which is in the website. It would consist of an end to birthright citizenship, which means if you're born in the United States to immigrants, that doesn't matter. You can be deported still. Further criminalizing transgender people in the LGBTQI community more broadly, expanding the thought crime and other censorship laws to end the teaching of critical race theory, to defeat woke Black Lives Matter, attacking academic freedom, replacing it with patriot education, implementing a national stop and frisk law, pardoning January 6th protesters, putting homeless people in camps or some other designated area under threat of arrest, building high-tech freedom cities, ending the professional civil service and replacing it with right-wing political appointees and other partisan agents, gutting the Department of Justice and other parts of the government that oppose Trump's attacks on democracy and rule of law, executing drug dealers. Now, without due process, starting a trade war with China, making peace with Vladimir Putin by withdrawing support for the Ukrainian people and their freedom struggle. In many ways, Agenda 47 is a continuation of fascist and other authoritarian policies Trump put in place during his first regime, but now made even more extreme and cruel. Do we get it? Do we get it?
Further down, for the most part, the Washington Post being a notable exception, the American mainstream media and political class have responded to Trump's Agenda 47 and its earlier iterations with a combination of laughs, mocking, schadenfreude, and indifference. And of course, there were the obvious jokes about the Jetsons cartoon with its flying cars and futuristic cities. You know what? Don't laugh at this shit.
This is not a joke.
This isn't funny. None of this is funny. If you don't think he's going to do this if he gets back in, you're not paying attention. Look what he did while he was in. If you don't think he's going to be fucking riding on the Retribution Express, you are wrong, okay? I'm here to tell you right now. Don't find out the hard way.
You thought Reagan was harsh? The demolition of unions will be in here too. So part of the problem with Twitter is
It's
I'm
fashion.
all for taking the piss out of people, but they make fun of this to the point where people don't take them seriously. LaRouche was never taken seriously as a governmental agent. That's understandable, but as a disinformation agent, he was extremely dangerous. This is another one from, I believe it's the New Republic. Oh, it's from Barron's. I'm sorry. So, all right, very quickly, the freedom cities. So, one of the more striking proposals in a competition to design up to 10 state of the art freedom cities, roughly the size of Washington, on federal land. Now, I don't know where these are going to be, but do you think he gives a crap if they're parkland, if it's Native American land? He won't. Built around the cutting edge hives of industry, brimming with factories, these innovation hubs would represent a quantum leap in the American standard of living, according to him. But honestly, it would be the end of green energy policy
And community.
endorsed by the government as we know it.
By the way, let me just say this. We have some real issues in America need to be dealt with. This isn't dealing with that. All right. This is for wealthy people to enjoy.
Right.
That's what this is going to be. All of the people who are in the way of the wealthy, the homeless, the destitute, the mentally ill, all of those people, they're going to be shoved onto prison camps. You watch. They have absolutely no plan to help those people, to help people who have been on the streets. They have no plan to help the homeless. They have no plans for that because they're in the way. They're failures in their eyes. They're failures in the American system. You people need to understand this.
For all of you who consider yourselves, progressives or liberal, remember your discussions of West Virginia. Remember your discussions of Flint, Michigan. These industrial cities destroy that entire argument and completely ignore pollution. And to build hundreds of nuclear facilities, you're putting this planet at extreme risk, if not dooming it.
The only way to build hundreds of those nuclear facilities is if you cut corners.
Right.
Do you know what it takes to get one nuclear facility built in the United States? You have any idea what it takes to get a license done? What they're going to do is they're going to get rid of all those safeguards and all of that stuff that's necessary to ensure safety so that they can ram this through. That's what they're going to do.
Decades ago, if you remember 3 Mile Island, remember a nuclear facility was built on an island. Okay.
By the way, 3 Mile Island was effectively the end of the nuclear industry in this country.
Yep.
If you have not seen, I suggest you see Meltdown, the documentary on Netflix.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff about 3 Mile Island that you didn't know because you were never told.
So here's something that I found that I thought was extremely interesting. I wanted to bring it to light. I don't think many people even think of this organization or this governmental department. The department is called it's through the Veterans Administration. and it is the Office of Construction and Facilities Management. So their mission is in support of our nation's veterans by planning, designing, constructing, and acquiring major facilities and setting design and construction standards. Okay, which should be in line with what I just talked about. Um, so they have lobbyists and they have people working for them, and this is who they are. And state, federal, blah blah blah. This is what they say about Agenda 47. Trump rhetoric overshadows his agenda 47. His pledge to drain the swamp and switch to one-day in-person voting. And I might read this entire thing because I think it's actually pretty informative. Talk surrounding Trump's 2024 presidential candidacy centers on his mounting criminal indictments and his brash responses. Buried underneath his all caps truth social posts is an actual agenda, which draws little attention it should, and that's Agenda 47. The platform includes planks to rebuild the American economy, quote unquote, ensure fair trade for American workers, and unleash energy dominance. He reprises earlier calls to secure the border and wants to wage war against drug cartels. He also pledges to end censorship, protect parents' rights, and upgrade care for veterans. In addition, Trump's Agenda 47 includes planks titled Reject Globalism and Embrace Patriotism, Free, Honest, and Lawful Election, and Drain the Swamp of Washington Corruption. Now, these guys are against this, by the way, but they're being balanced, they're being factual in what they're saying. Just saying, draining the swamp, according to Agenda 47, requires, quote unquote, dismantling the deep state, which we've been talking about the whole time, and restoring government by the people, just as he did during his administration, quote unquote. President Trump will conduct a top to bottom overhaul of federal bureaucracies to clean up the rot and corruption of DC. You see, that's all in quotes. Regarding elections, Trump promises to reform our election laws to verify the identity and eligibility of all voters to ensure faith and confidence in all future elections. We will pass a bold range of critical election integrity measures that include banning unsecured drop boxes and ballot harvesting. Does anyone see where this is going?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Arizona stuff. This is Kerry Lake crap. The plank about globalism and patriotism is most notable for what it doesn't include. Any reference to the Russian invasion in Ukraine or how he would deal with heightened tensions with China. The session blames President Biden for a humiliating defeat in Afghanistan without mentioning Trump's role in negotiating the pullout with the Taliban. It ends by promising under Donald Trump, we will restore our standing in the world and American leadership abroad without offering details.
He isn't offering details on how he's going to get anywhere with anything.
Right. The section entitled Renew American Strength and Leadership offers to replace the failed policy of never-ending war, regime change, blah, 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 blah. Nation building with a bold vision to pursue peace through strength, blah, 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 blah.
Right, yeah.
Trump pledges to keep the United States out of unnecessary foreign wars. Maybe just by creating domestic ones. I don't know. Rid the military of Biden's radical left ideology and rehire military personnel discharged for failing to be vaccinated for COVID. He also pledges to protect our people from threat of nuclear weapons and hypersonic missiles by building a state-of-the-art next-generation missile defense shield, which, by the way,
bullshit.
This was part of Lyndon LaRouche's platform as well, actually.
Yeah.
With the if you remember me reading it,
Yeah.
with Star Wars and all that crap. And honestly, part of that too, governmental control of space weaponry and and corporate control, like with Elon Musk that I mentioned last week. Okay. On the campaign trail, speaking to loyal followers, Trump gets more specific about his intentions. Now, please listen to all of those people working in civil service. He threatens to strip civil service protections from federal workers and only hire people loyal to him, which, in all honesty, this is possibly why Matt Gaetz doesn't give a crap if they shut down the government. He supports executing drug dealers. Doesn't mention due process, moving homeless people to tent cities, deploying federal troops to deal with local crime and protests. And by the way, remember the FEMA camps, FEMA camps. Remember that part? Well, there you go. Federal troops basically being police, taking over Washington, D.C., eliminating the Department of Education, and restricting voting to a single day with paper ballots. No mail-in voting. They have been attacking mail-in voting for forever. Why? Because mail-in voting favors the Democrats at this point. If it favored the Republicans, they wouldn't care.
Yeah.
So far, he hasn't ruled out the use of vote counting machines. Now, this is where I'm going to read this whole thing. Quote unquote, we're going to have a well-trained cadre of people that will hit the beach day one. Showering is not mandatory, just so you know. For sake, fucking greasy ass Steve Bannon. Campaign planks taken seriously. Groups like the America First Policy Institute take Trump campaign pledges seriously. The institute says it is preparing political appointees whom Trump can install immediately to begin the purge of federal workers. We're going to have a well-trained cadre of people that will hit the beach day one. I didn't know this was Normandy, but whatever. And their number one thing is to start taking apart the federal bureaucracy brick by brick, according to Steve Bannon, who continues to advise Trump on political strategy. This country has been based on federal protections from day one. They're talking about dismantling that. So basically, they're talking about a war on this country through legislation.
This is just installing authoritarian rule.
Yes, it is.
Very simple.
Authoritarian fascist rule and getting rid of every protection to keep that from happening. The underlying reason to dismantle the Department of Education and dispatch its 4,400 federal workers is to clear the way to implement strict prohibition on teaching inappropriate racial, sexual, and political material to America's school children in any form whatsoever. Fascism. Nazism.
And, just take 4,400 federal workers and put them on the bread line. Okay?
That right there, if that doesn't scare you, I don't know what will.
I'm glad my kid's not in school anymore. I can tell you that.
Trump said at a CPAC convention. In rallies, Trump promises revenge, as Deb said. This is the revenge part of it. If elected in 2024. If in 2026 I declared I'm your voice, Trump told a crowd in Maryland. Today I add, I am your warrior, I am your justice, and for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution. What else does he need to say? He doesn't hide his view that no one has been wrong more than him, although he will, I repeat, he will pardon all of the insurrections. Have returned to the White House. Trump and his allies have implied they will go after Jack Smith. Of course they will. Cut off his investigation. Of course they will. If it's still ongoing, and pardon those who have been indicted, convicted, or jailed in support of Trump. Though unspoken, a pardon would also apply to Trump himself for wrongful prosecution. He's ordaining himself king. I can see him on the crown, or on the throne, rather, with his little scepter saying, "You are pardoned. You are pardoned." Running regardless of convictions, Trump has made clear his intention to remain in the presidential race, even if convicted in any of the four separate sets of criminal indictments he faces. He has called the indictments politically motivated, claimed the Department of Justice has been weaponized, and more recently asserted the charges are attempts to thwart his freedom of speech as a presidential candidate. And
let me tell you how that went in court. It didn't.
No, it didn't. But this is a parallel to Lyndon LaRouche.
Yeah, it is.
The only thing is, Trump actually became president.
Right.
The first GOP presidential debate happened August 23rd in Milwaukee. This is what happened. Trump was interviewed separately from the little bow tie fascist Tucker Carlson, because he's more important than everybody. They elevated him. And everybody else bickered at the child's table. Vivek Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, whoever else.
And the real reason Donald Trump didn't show up at those debates is because he didn't want to get pelted about his criminal activities by the other.
Well, yeah, that too.
And that's the only reason.
Well, I do truly believe that he wanted to elevate himself above the other candidates. But that too, that way Tucker Carlson could just throw softball questions at him.
Yep.
Trump has signaled he won't participate. He defends his decision based on his refusal to endorse anyone but himself as the party's 2024 standard bearer. King. The real reason is more likely that he holds such a commanding lead over the rest of the field. He has nothing to gain by engaging them or letting them spend the night pelting him. So, in character, Agenda 47 merchandise is on sale on Trump's campaign website. And oh yeah, we're going to take a look at that.
Yeah, but the grifter.
Grifting. Now, this is marketing 101, okay? Branding. A picture of you, okay? If you don't remember, he actually trademarked "Make America Great Again" in MAGA, okay? And he's using the Obama, color scheme in his advertising.
And his mugshot.
And his little, yeah. So, but wait, there's more. They're the yard signs. For $35, you can put on your lawn that Trump was right. I don't know about what, but he was right about something.
Yeah, he sure was.
Hats, $40 for a hat. God have mercy. We've got the shirts. Unfinished business. Beijing Biden. Official Trump mugshot white cotton t-shirt with "not guilty" on it. Legend. Choose greatness. Oh my God. Trump was right about everything. Home sweet home. I mean, okay. There's more. There's more. This is the level to his grift. And Deb and I had this conversation. This is marketing 101. Deb will see it. She was in advertising for God knows how many years, 20 years,
35.
35. Okay, here we go. Trump team gear. He has team gear for every state,
All the swing states, anyway.
all the swing states. And, as he moves along, he'll add states. Team Trump, Team Iowa. Okay. South Carolina. All right. There's more. New Hampshire. Oh, let's show New Hampshire. Why not? You know, I don't want to advertise it too much because some of these knuckleheads may run to buy it. But this is coalitions. He's advertising to the different groups. Veterans for Trump. Okay. There's veterans, there's parents for Trump, and there's women for Trump.
Truly a fucking oxymoron.
I mean, my God. This
Yeah.
is marketing 101, but the level of his grift is beyond a pale. Okay. So even if he loses, this will probably all go to his legal defense. In all honesty. So I want to end this with another plan, and this is through the Heritage Foundation. I know Deb mentioned this. I think it's important to go over this again. This is Project 2025. To me, this is just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than Agenda 47, because this is a contingency plan if Trump doesn't win. This is the plan put in place to ensure, even if they don't win the presidency, that they have a resurgency of conservatism in the United States. And it is our job to make sure that that does not happen.
Correct.
And this is what all Democrats should be doing on our end. We can't just ignore what these guys are doing. We have to know what they're doing. This is why I'm talking about this. So that we can craft our response. But our initial response is get to the polls, vote in the primaries, know your candidates,
Get them
and
up.
vote for them. And vote for them. That is the base of everything. Okay. So the laying of the groundwork, I'm going to go through it next week. But one of the things is this quote unquote focus on the family. All right. What we need to do, and I'm not going to go into it in detail until next week. What we need to do is dismantle their bullshit by talking about the attacks on the American family that the GOP has done through their legislation, through anti-worker legislation, through anti-medical or health insurance legislation, through demolishing Build Back Better, through everything. They talk about protecting family values. Okay, and we'll get into it. We've done it over and over again. Now, protecting whose family values? White rich and upper middle class family values. That's who they're talking about.
Correct.
Straight, white, straight, upper middle class and upper class middle family values. That's what they are talking about. And they do attack minorities, the GOP. They attack the LGBTQ constantly. And they have done that over and over and over again. So to me, the GOP, the one thing that you can say about the GOP is they have their strategy down. And we need to mobilize and get off our ass and finally just fight this and stop wallowing in conspiracy theory. Look at what's happening now. Okay. So that's what I have. You want to add anything else, Deb?
I I don't know what else to say other than that when they're telling you what they're all about, they're telling you what they're all about. And you should read them. This is shit that's coming right out of his own mouth. Okay.
Right. And then when Biden attacks them for calling them radical and using their own words against them, they attack Biden and call him a liar and this and that and the other thing. They said it. They said what they were going to do. He's just repeating what they said they were going to do.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No, we need to go over. I did Project 2025 in July, but it's time to do it over.
You guys need to understand, and I'm going to put this light on. This was not a stylistic choice, but I can't see now. So there you go. Now we're back into the light. The conspiracy theory has been dispelled. We shined the spotlight on it.
Dave did pay his electric bill. Cut the shit.
So there you go. All right. So this is what it is. Okay. And Q and all of this stuff. And to a certain degree, I haven't said this, and I think that we're now questioning the whole thing with Julian Assange, and we're questioning Ed Snowden, and we're questioning all of it at this point.
I am up. Everything right now is up for review. I have made no statements because I have nothing to make right now.
Right.
Other than I'm not as comfortable with any of that as I once was.
Now,
that's all I'm saying.
Please understand me. The things that Bradley Manning / Chelsea Manning brought to light, they happened. Collateral murder happened.
Absolutely. You have no problem with that.
We have no problem with that. But the way certain things
and I consider Chelsea Manning a hero, and I always will, and I'm good with that.
Right. But the way certain things have been handled and the way certain information was handled, we are now questioning a lot of this. Okay.
In light of Glenn Greenwald, where he is now, I'm uncomfortable with Edward Snowden, now a Russian citizen. There have been whistleblowers who have stayed in the United States and taken the heat. One of them recently died,
Right. Daniel Ellsberg.
Yeah. And so I get it, but I'm uncomfortable with a lot of stuff about Edward Snowden right now. A lot of things he has tweeted and said from
right.
making his I'm just, and I'm not making any statements because I'm not there yet. I'm still looking, and it's not a priority for me right now. My priority is what's going on right here.
And by the way,
but I really do want to. I really do want to understand. One of the things that tipped me off about the whole, Julian Assange thing is why is the group defending Assange and Stella Assange herself following America First Legal? Why? That is a radical right-wing operation that is run by Stephen Scumbag there, whatever that guy is.
We're going to get more into him later on, I'm sure.
I just don't understand the reason for Free Julian Assange and Stella Assange to be following America First Legal. They are here to do Donald Trump's bidding. That's exactly what they're here for. They are not a legitimate legal organization. Okay. So, Stephen Miller, that's who runs America First Legal. Okay.
And by the way, I didn't go into Stephen Miller, but he's part of a lot of this.
He is.
Okay. He's into, I can't remember if he was he was helping design one or the other. I think it was either Agenda 47 or 2020, Project 2025. He was
working on Project 2020.
I think he is.
The Heritage Foundation.
I think he is.
But either way, he's not a good guy. Okay, he isn't, and that's who runs America First Legal. And I'm sorry, but I don't care what your name is. If you are now associating, you are subject to being questioned, because I will tell you that this particular group, the Factivist Project, wants no part of any of the right wing and any level on any level. We just don't want it. So we'll get there eventually, but I can't spend my time on that right now. It's just something that I have marked down as my red flag.
If there are any of all of you that are watching, I don't care if you are Working Families Party, or if you are Green Party, or if you are a Democrat and you're a little more moderate or whatever, every one of us has to get on the same page. We have to get rid of Trump, and then we have to get rid of as many GOP as we can. All right. And I know people don't like to hear it either. The Green Party, right now, they are nothing but spoilers. Okay, in very tight races. I'm sorry. That's what they are at this moment. I know people, Dave has completely gone to the other side, blah, blah, blah. He's establishment, blah, blah, blah. I guess so. I'm not completely establishment, but the right wing has to be put in check. Then we can start talking about all of that. Okay? This is step number one.
Listen to me.
We're on the precipice.
Listen to me.
Jesus.
You want to call me establishment, you can go ahead and do that.
Whatever.
Okay. But I'm going to say this. I went through a real phase, and that's I'm going to call that a phase, where I thought that the American people could just run the country themselves. And then one day, this thing called COVID hit. And I got a real good look at the fucking mayhem that would be our nation under self-governance, okay?
Right.
And first of all, we can't even get our asses out to vote. Can you see us writing bills? Look, stop it, okay? Stop it, okay? We can't even hold our government accountable, and we're going to run a country? No. No, no.
And by the way, I'm not talking about the guys who are highly motivated. I'm not talking about, the Mac Frosts of the world and all those guys. I'm not talking about you guys. Okay, please understand that. Gen Z, before you talk about running the country, go to work. Okay, I'm just saying, go to work, do your job, be responsible. Then we can start talking about, and if you need to go to jury duty and vote and get politically involved and active. Okay.
Now,
When you're
I am absolutely taken by the Gen Zers that are running for office. I
absolutely, oh, absolutely. And
no
I
question.
am in awe of those
But
guys.
folks, I work with Gen Zers all day long. You talk about them voting. I talk to them about voting, and they look at me like, what? I mean, no, this is not a lie. Okay. So, yes, I do agree that they are an important political component. This is their future. So I get this. But to think that any one generation is going to save us is a dangerous thought process.
Right.
We all need to be out there come November 2024. We cannot rely on Gen Z. And I might want to remind you that there are Gen Zers on the other side as well. Okay?
And
Nicholas Fuentes is a Gen Zer.
Right.
Okay? Can we remember that? Not all Gen Zers are good people. All right?
And the circle will be complete once I make this comment. I remember Deb and I criticizing, flame throwing, lambasting Hillary Clinton for criticizing, making fun of the retail class, the Gen Z retail class, saying that they can't even get to work and they're not going to run the country if they can't even get to work. She was right. Okay, she was right. Go back in hindsight, she was right. Before you demand something, before you demand a change of schedule, or before you demand something like that you're be given some kind of credit for something at your job, maybe you want to come to work on time consistently. This is coming from a union representative. Okay. I'm speaking not only to my workers, but the workers everywhere.
Or maybe you don't want to go around telling everybody in the store that you're calling out tomorrow because you're going shopping.
Right.
No, that might be an idea.
Or, oh, guys, I called out today and look at where I'm at. I'm at the club. Face, face shot. It's like, what are you doing? Headshot. Here's my outfit. You don't think that your job is watching you on social media sometimes? They are.
They absolutely are.
They absolutely are.
I'm not saying that's right either. I'm just saying that is okay.
It happens.
But I'm just saying, there's good and bad everywhere. Okay, that's all I'm saying. They were bad in my generation. My generation were the people who decided to turn to the right and go pursue Wall Street. Okay, so
right. Correct.
My generation, every generation has their good and their bad. I get that. Okay.
Right. The 80s with the greed and all of that. Greed is good and all that stuff.
Yeah, what's his name was revered. Whoever that guy is that Michael Douglas played.
Gordon Gekko. Gordon Gekko.
Right? You never enough, right? You can never have enough, right? There's always, every generation's got that. All I'm saying is to paint any one generation as a savior is a mistake. Okay, it was a mistake when they did it with the boomers. It was a mistake when they did it with the millennials. It's a mistake when they're doing it with Gen Z. We are all in this together. No one is going to save you. You need to save yourself. Your vote matters. Okay? That's
Speak
all
and
I'm saying.
speak for yourself, and the way you carry yourself, the way you speak to others, the way you treat others, and the way you conduct your business will speak volumes for you and will add or detract from your credibility.
Right. And by the way, um, just for the record, we don't have a union in my little store.
Right.
But I am one of the people who stands up for the Gen Zers too with management. So I'm not just here to attack. I do it both ways. But
right.
There are some things that you just decide, you don't want to show up. We had 2 people call out on truck day that weren't really sick.
Right.
It's not just screw the store. You have other workers there that rely on you being there that day. It's one thing when you are sick. These fucking people come in when they have COVID, have no problem spreading it around, but they stay out when they're healthy so they can have a good time. And then everybody else on truck day has to worry about picking up their slack. I'm just saying. All I'm saying.
Let's just say, just to end this, on Friday, my state, much of it in New York State, a state of emergency was declared by Kathy Hochul because of flooding. Okay. Now, many of our guys stayed home, and they should have. Okay. I happened to be able to get to work, and I defended myself and everyone else who came to work and got hassled and all of that. But when you can make it to work, if you can make it to work, it's in your best interest to do that. And if you don't, to not claim you're sick and then go out to a club or go out on a trip and post on social media. Knuckleheads. I'm just saying. Gen Z.
Okay? Wake up. Everybody needs to wake up.
Right. And we need to unite, every single one of us. Young, old, male, female, gay, straight, black, white, Asian,
Latino, whatever.
Latino, Native American, Indian, Turkish, whoever. Okay. And another thing, a lot of this is designed to separate people from one another. Remember that whole thing about wedge issues? Republicans are king of that.
Yeah. And so here's what I'd like to know. If we could make it in this country so that everybody was on the same level playing field and we all had the same rights, no matter whether we're straight, gay, trans, black, white, Native American, right? If we had all of that issue with your rights nailed down so that there could never be a Supreme Court decision that would take away people's rights, or some yokel in outer Mongolia or,
whatever,
South Carolina, one or the other, puts a ballot referendum on there that says 2 gay people can't get married. I don't think you have a right to vote on other people's rights either. So if we could get all of that stopped so that none of that became the issue during an election season, which would really throw the Republicans into a tizzy.
Right.
The question is, what if we could get rid of all of that and just argue on the issues?
Right.
Because in reality, that's really what we're avoiding doing.
And let's go to the other side for a moment. So everyone has the same rights, but they also have the same accountability. Right. If you commit a crime, you do not have that chance unless there is an extreme circumstance. You can't get pardoned by the United States president. That whole thing needs to be amended. I'm not talking about abolishing it, but it needs to be amended.
It does.
Donald Trump should not be able to go on camera and say, guys, if you vote for me, I'm going to pardon you.
Right. And Donald Trump should not be able to pardon himself. How's that? All right, gang. That's where we are. Next week, Project 2025. Talk to you later.